Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk a little bit about what steps you should take when you bring a new bonsai tree into your home. So I'm talking about these commercially bonsai trees. Here you can see a Sarissa I recently bought. It is commercially grown and there are certain steps you should take when bringing this into your house. And as I'm filming this shortly after Christmas, probably many people did receive a bonsai tree, for example, for Christmas, and they want to know how to take care of those trees that are commercially grown, that suddenly they have. What are the first steps you should take when you get a tree like that into your home? Just so you can make sure that they will thrive in your home for a long time. So I would say let's start right away, getting you a bit closer to the tree and giving you a really detailed view on the tree and on the steps you should take when looking at the tree. So here we are, a close-up of the tree. I chose this tree not only for the shape that I really enjoy on this tree and I think there has a lot of potential in the tree, but I also bought it because in my opinion it is this typical commercially grown tree that you can find. As I said, it's a Sarissa, you find them quite often. Often you find them with the root mass a bit higher, so the root mass exposed. Here it is a bit lower, giving more of a clump style look on the tree. But certain things that come on this tree can often be seen on commercial trees in general. And one thing that probably pops into the view right away is the wire that is on this tree and has been left on here when it was commercially grown. And that is, in my opinion, always the first step you should take care of. So we need to remove this old wire. This one is extremely old. You can actually see how rusty it is. So if you have wire like this on your tree, make sure you don't scratch yourself to avoid any nasty infections or anything. So really be careful when working on something like that. Probably it's best to even opt for gloves just to give you this extra layer of protection when working on wire like that. But as I'm only going to cut it off and not really work on unwiring or unfoiling it, I should be fine, and we can simply go in and snap the wire and then very carefully remove it from the tree. Normally this wire is put on, of course, to put branches into place and give it form, but as these trees are commercially grown by the thousands and tens of thousands, they normally never remove those wires again. So they are left on your tree, and sooner or later your tree will outgrow that wire, and then you have the problem of a wire that is biting into the bark of the tree, leaving very unsightly scars, and if it's really left on for a long time, actually affecting the health of your tree if it cuts off basically all the nutrients that flow through the tree by being just too tight around it. You can see there's a slight mark here, but I think at the moment it's still at a point where we can take off the wire and it not leaving any permanent damage. But of course, if I would get this tree and leave it on for years and years to come, that would become definitely a problem. So here, see, this is so old, this is actually simply breaking off already because it's so rusted through. So let me see here, it did definitely bite a lot into the bark here. So we might have to turn it around and see if we can find our way in here to cut off the wire. There you go, that was at least a start. It's really about taking piece and piece off of it without, of course, trying to damage the tree. Here again, very close here, already definitely biting into the bark here, making it also difficult to actually catch it in a way that we can break it off. But now it does come apart. And then we just scratch off all the little pieces as they're coming off. Sometimes easier, sometimes not that easy, but there you go. Another section wire free, which leaves us with one more section here in the middle of the tree where there's also wire, but I think here we can easily go in and snap this. And you can actually see how the top branch here actually moved a bit upwards because, of course, it was held in place by the wire. So you can see how this is a bit more freely moving again now. We might even apply new wire here and again make sure they are sticking together. I'm not sure this tree or this variety is prone to fuse together. I don't think so. Looking at the bark, I don't really see that. But nevertheless, I want them closely because it gives off this nice little side branch, or this illusion of a side branch that actually comes from this side, which is one of the nice features on this tree that made me actually buy it. So first step is done. We took off the wire. Let's take a look around the tree again to see if we missed any wire somewhere, but I do think we have all the wire that has been on this tree, giving it already a nice look. So then next step that you can do and look at is, of course, the overall health of the tree. Of course, normally if you buy a tree for yourself, that is something you do already in the garden center or in the box store or wherever you buy your tree. If it has been a gift, of course, this might be the first time you have the opportunity to really check for the health of the tree. I can see a lot of nice healthy foliage. I can see new growth on different points of the tree, already new growth coming from older sections of the tree. So in general, it seems to be very healthy. One thing that often, basically always is the case and always could become potentially a problem is the soil. Let me just show you the soil in this tree, and you can see it is this usual very compact, very old, very used soil that normally these trees are grown in. They are grown in this soil because they are normally grown in China, in Southeast Asia, where soil like this does generally still dry out quite nicely because simply the temperatures are higher. However, once they're shipped to more temperate climates, this often brings the problem that this soil is staying moist for too long. And that of course affects the root health of your tree and can lead to root rot if you don't keep in mind when you water the tree. However, at this point, just bringing this tree newly into my home, I will not repot because it is simply too much stress on this tree right away. If I go now, bring it into a new environment, repot it, maybe do some pruning on it still, it is simply too much for this tree to take right away in the beginning. So what I will do now, I will keep it for a couple of weeks, maybe even some months in the soil still until the early spring, which luckily isn't that far away. And then I will repot it into better fitting soil with more inorganic parts in it, so it will simply allow for better airflow, for drying out quicker, and simply making sure that the tree has the best available soil, which will of course also have a benefit on the health of the tree. So definitely something also keep in mind when you get a new tree like this. The soil might be something you will have to deal with more sooner than later actually. So definitely soil is another step you should take a look at. And then you can actually start to do some light work on your tree. So if we look around this tree, I'm actually quite happy with the way it looks right now. I wouldn't go too harshly on it right now because, as I said, it is a new tree. What I do see is we have this basically dyed back stump that they left on. So they probably had this grow way, way longer to make sure that this trunk is simply growing thicker and thicker, improving the taper, and then they cut it at this point, using then the offshoots that have created afterwards as the new apex of the entire tree. And they left on this stump for multiple reasons, I would say. First of all, of course, it fits quite nicely to the overall S shape of the tree still. It probably also, one reason behind it was that they wanted to leave enough on in case there's some dieback, so it could easily and healthily die back and then could be removed. And probably also because they didn't take a second look at it, to be fully honest. As I said, they are commercially grown. They don't look really at each tree again and again. They are all grown in the same manner. It's a procedure of each tree getting then cut at this point, and that's it. So there's no like fine tuning normally that is being done then still to these trees. So what we can do, as you can see, this pretty much has died back already. We can at least reduce it a little bit. I maybe don't want to take it out completely yet, but we can reduce the height a little bit. So it is definitely very, very hard wood. So I'm not even sure my garden shears would be enough to get through here. Ooh, I might actually need a saw for that. But let me work my way into it and apply some force, and then we can actually take it off. So yeah, it definitely seems to have mostly died back already. I will leave on, again, just a little stump here in case there will be further dieback to not risk the entire apex at this point. But other than that, I don't see any major flaws that I want to take off right now. I do see a dead root here actually that we can still take out. So this one here, it is actually anyway in front of a quite nice root here. So it actually improves the look on this very nicely moving root. Again, leaving some on because I do see it's still green underneath. So this is probably previously only has started to die back. They probably cut it off when it moved over the pot. But other than that, I wouldn't go in too harshly at pruning. As I said, we want to avoid any stress to this tree. We want it to first acclimate to its new environment. What you still can do, and what I normally always do when I get a new tree, is already look at how we can improve the shape through wiring. So wiring, of course, you do to improve the shape of a bonsai. So by simply looking at branches and how they could be positioned in a better way to simply benefit the overall look of the tree. And what I do see here, we have like very nice flowing, nice horizontally located branches. I do like the shape of it, but I want to look at more like a triangle. So I'm missing something here. And in my opinion, what would really fit quite nicely here is if we bring down this branch here. So if we simply move this a bit further down. As I saw now here, it is definitely very hardy wood or very hard wood, very brittle wood. So we do have to be careful when wiring. I definitely see that. But I think we will manage. Here I think I do see some dieback on this lower branch, so also good to see. And then I would go in and simply apply some wire. I will actually try to fix it to the main trunk here to again bring this branch a bit closer to the trunk, so we actually have an additional benefit by trying to wire it this way. So let me simply see how to best do it, and then we hook this branch here at least once, and we go. We only want to give it a direction and not really go too far into the final structure of the tree. I think we have enough leverage here. Let me see if I bend this down, if it would hold. And yes, it would. So simply opening up the tree a little bit here. And already this way definitely changing the entire shape of the tree. I do like the flow. I like the mirroring of the movement from here in this side branch. So I do think that actually gives the tree a nicer look than simply a straight up branch here in the back. I will see how much this holds actually together, because I'm not quite sure it will at this point. I might have to go in with another wire to just strengthen it again. But for the moment, I do think it will hold. As I said, it's simply about giving it this first initial bend, this initial direction. Here, I'm not sure if I want to anyway bring it further down, because I can already see we're here at the border of how far we can bend this tree. It's definitely very brittle, especially if, as I am used more to working on ficus, this one seems to be more brittle, definitely. But yes, giving you another shape. So as I said, you can already start to do some light improvement to your trees by wiring when you bring it into your home. Other than that, I think those are the real important steps that you can take and your tree will thrive. So there you already have it. To sum up again, so what you should really take care of is, of course, removing any old wires that's starting to bite into the bark. Look at the soil, but maybe not repot right away, but keep an eye on the soil, especially in the first couple of weeks and months, and then repot at a time when it makes sense. Go into a bit of the structure already if you feel like it. So a bit of wiring is always a good idea that you can simply do in the beginning right away. If you're not going too harsh on pruning or on structural pruning, that shouldn't be a problem. And simply monitor the health over the first couple of weeks. And then you will set up your tree for the best way possible. If you read up on the species, of course, then you should be definitely all set for having a nice and healthy, happy tree for a long time in your home. If you have any questions regarding your specific tree, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will answer them as soon as I see them. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like, and also if you feel like it, subscribe to my channel, of course, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.